Imagine a world born from the muddy waters of the Nile, where kingdoms rose and fell over millennia, where pharaohs claimed divine power and colossal structures pierced the sky, only to be swallowed by time. It is the story of ancient Egypt, a civilization that fascinates us still, thousands of years later. From the shadows of prehistory to the golden glow of the pyramids, and the final echoes of a colonial conquest, this is a tale of ambition, brilliance, and eventual decline. And as we uncover the final haunting truth, remember to subscribe so you never miss the stories history tried to bury. Our story begins long before the pyramids, back in the pre-dynastic era, as early as about 4000 BC, in a land shaped by the annual Nile inundation, dividing itself into fertile bands of life and the arid deserts beyond. Farming communities emerged along the riverbanks, crafting tools, building villages, and weaving the first threads of unity. By around 3100 BC, a king known to us as Menes or Narmer rose in power. He conquered Lower Egypt and fused it with Upper Egypt, founding the first dynasty and forging a civilization that would endure for 3,000 years. From here unfolded the early dynastic period, Egypt's foundations, the divine kingship, the first hieroglyphs, and capitals like Memphis, erected at the Nile's apex to hold court and prophecy. Next came the Old Kingdom, the age of the pyramid builders, roughly between 2686 and 2181 before Christ. It was in this epoch that monumental tombs arose, the Step Pyramid, crafted by Imhotep for Djoser, and later the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza, one of the Seven Wonders, constructed circa 2589 to 2566 before Christ. These awe-striking feats testified to pharaonic power, but also sowed the seeds of erosion as economic strain and rising priestly and noble power began to fracture centralized control. After the Old Kingdom's glare, Egypt slipped into the first intermediate period. Chaos reigned from circa 2181 to 2055 before Christ, as drought and economic trouble dismantled central authority, and local rulers carved their own domains. Poverty, political fragmentation, and a weakening state created the crucible for change. Then, rising like a phoenix, the Middle Kingdom restored coherence. Around 1938 BC, Mentuhotep II reunited Upper and Lower Egypt. His descendants, including Amenemhat III, brought technological advances, artistic flourishing, and the first literary works of leisure. For a few centuries, Egypt knew profound stability, yet peace is fleeting. By around 1650 BC, the Second Intermediate Period unfurled. Invasions by the Hyksos from the northeast disrupted the land, settling in the delta and ruling as pharaohs. Native dynasties in Thebes resisted, splitting the nation between foreign rulers and homegrown defenders. Then came the turning point. Under Ahmose I of the 18th dynasty, Egypt cast out the Hyksos and reclaimed its homeland, thus beginning the New Kingdom, Egypt's final, most potent golden era. The New Kingdom, spanning from around 1550 to 1070 BC, was Egypt's moment of absolute brilliance. Pharaohs became not just rulers, but global power players. Ahmose I expelled the Hyksos, and soon Egypt's armies marched far beyond the Nile, conquering into Nubia and the Levant. It was during this golden age that names like Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, and Ramses II were etched into history. one of the most remarkable female pharaohs, transformed Egypt into a trading empire, sending expeditions as far as Punt. Thutmose III, known as the Napoleon of Egypt, expanded Egypt's borders to their furthest reach. And Ramses II, Ramses the Great, ruled for 66 years, building colossal temples at Abu Simbel and signing the first known peace treaty in human history with the Hittites after the bloody Battle of Kadesh in 1274 BC. But glory carried shadows. Akhenaten attempted a revolution, abandoning the traditional pantheon in favor of worshipping Aten, the sun disk. His radical experiment fractured Egypt's unity, and after his death, the old gods returned with a vengeance. Tutankhamun, the boy king, restored the ancient order, but his reign was short, his legacy buried until the discovery of his untouched tomb in the year 1922. By the end of the New Kingdom, Egypt was exhausted. Invasions by the mysterious sea peoples, corruption, and internal revolts sapped its strength. The once unbreakable empire faltered, its vast wealth drained. The fall had begun. What followed was a slow unraveling. The Third Intermediate Period, from about 1070 to 664 BC, saw pharaohs lose power to priests and regional warlords. Nubian kings from the south invaded and ruled as the 25th dynasty, seeking to restore Egypt's greatness. But they too were driven out when the Assyrians swept in from Mesopotamia. Egypt, once the world's shining beacon of stability, was now a land at the mercy of foreign powers. Then came the Late Period. Brief resurgences under native kings flickered like dying torches, but the truth was undeniable. Egypt was no longer the center of the world. In 525 BC, Cambyses II of Persia conquered the Nile Valley, folding it into the vast Achaemenid Empire. For 2 centuries, Egypt oscillated between brief independence and Persian domination. Then, in 332 BC, Alexander the Great marched into Egypt. To the weary population, he was not an invader, but a liberator. He founded the city of Alexandria, which would become one of the greatest centers of learning and culture in the ancient world. After his death, Egypt fell to the Ptolemies, Greek rulers who styled themselves as pharaohs. Cleopatra VII, the last of her dynasty, fought desperately to preserve Egypt's independence, entangling herself with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony. But in 30 BC, following her defeat by Octavian, Rome's future Augustus, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire. The pharaohs were gone. A 3,000-year story had reached its final chapter. Yet, though Egypt fell, its spirit never died. The monuments remain, the pyramids, the temples at Karnak and Luxor, the Valley of the Kings. Hieroglyphs, once a forgotten script, were resurrected in 1822 by Jean-François Champollion through the Rosetta Stone. Egyptian art, architecture, and religious concepts influenced Greece, Rome, and through them, the entire Western world. Their medicine, their mathematics, their calendars, all laid foundations for human civilization. Even today, the mysteries of mummification, the alignment of pyramids with the stars, and the sheer ambition of the Nile kings continue to inspire awe and debate. The rise and fall of ancient Egypt is not just the story of a nation, it is the story of human ambition, of how power can elevate a society to greatness, and how time, hunger, and greed can erode even the strongest of empires. For 3 millennia, Egypt rose from the banks of a river, ruled the known world, and fell into the sands of time. And yet, its legacy is everywhere. In our museums, in our symbols, in the very idea of what it means to be eternal. The pharaohs sought immortality in stone and spirit, and in a way, they achieved it. As long as we remember their story, ancient Egypt never truly dies. And as we continue to uncover the secrets buried beneath desert sands, remember to subscribe so you never miss the stories history tried to bury. Because history is not just about the past, it's about us, here and now, still listening to the whispers of the Nile.